Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Chapter 2. Dobby's Warning. Harry managed not to shout out, but it was a close thing. The little creature on the bed had large bat-like ears and blogging green eyes the size of tennis balls. Harry knew instantly that this was what had been watching him out in the garden hatch that morning. As they stared at each other, Harry heard Dudley's voice from the hill. "May I take your coats, Mr. and Mrs. Mason?" The creature slipped off the bed and bowed so low that the end of its long, thin nose touched the carpet. Harry noticed that it was wearing what looked like an old pillowcase with ripped forearms and leg holes. Hello," said Harry nervously. "Harry Potter," said the creature in a high-pitched voice Harry was sure would carry down the stairs. "So long as Dobby wanted to meet you, sir. Such an honor it is." "Thank you," said Harry, edging along the wall and sinking into his desk chair next to Hedwig, who was asleep in her large cage. He wanted to ask, "What are you?" but thought it would sound too rude, so instead he said, "Who are you?" "Dobby, sir. Just Dobby the house elf," said the creature. "Oh, really?" said Harry. I don't want to be rude or anything, but this isn't a great time for me to have an elf in my bedroom." And Petunia's high false laugh sounded from the living room. The elf hung his head. "Not that I'm not pleased to meet you," said Harry quickly. "But, is there any particular reason you're here?" "Oh, yes, sir," said Dobby earnestly. "Dobby has come to tell you, sir. It is difficult, sir. Dobby wonders where to begin." "Sit down," said Harry politely, pointing at the bed. To his honor, the house elf burst into tears. Very noisy tears. To his honor, "Sit down," he wailed. "Never, never, ever." Harry thought he heard the voice downstairs falter. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to offend you or anything." "Offend Dobby," choked the elf. "Dobby has never been asked to sit down by a wizard like an equal." Harry, trying to say "shh" and looking comforting at the same time, ushered Dobby back on the bed, where he sat high coughing, looking like a large and very ugly doll. At last he managed to control himself and sat with the great eyes fixed on him in an expression of watery adoration. "You can't have met many decent wizards," said Harry, trying to cheer him up. Dobby shook his head. Then, without warning, he leaped up the stairs, banging his head furiously on the window, shouting, "Bad Dobby! Bad Dobby! Don't! What are you doing?" Harry hissed, springing up and pulling Dobby back onto the bed. Hedwig had woken up with a particularly loud screech and a beating her wings wildly against the boards of her cage. "Dobby has to punish himself, sir," said the elf, who has gone slightly cross-eyed. "Dobby only spoke ill of his family, sir." "Your family? The wizard family Dobby serves, sir. Dobby is a house elf, bound to serve one house and one family forever." "Do they know you're here?" said Harry curiously. Dobby shuddered. Oh, no, sir, no. Dobby will have to punish himself most grievously for coming to see you, sir. Dobby will have to shut his ears in the open door for this, if they ever knew, sir. But won't they not notice if you shut your ears in the open door? Dobby does it, sir. Dobby is always having to punish himself for something, sir. They let Dobby get on with it, sir. Something they remind me to do extra punishment. But why don't you leave or escape? A housewife must be set free, sir, and the family will never set Dobby free. Dobby will serve the family until he dies, sir. Harry stared. And I thought I had it bad, staying here for another 4 weeks, he said. This makes the Dursleys sound almost human. Can't anyone help you? Can't I? Almost at once, Harry wished he hadn't spoken. Dobby dissolved again into wail and gratitude. Please, Harry whispered pantingly, please be quiet. If the Dursleys hear anything, if they know you're here, Harry Potter, ask if he can help Dobby. Dobby has heard of your greatness, sir, but of your godness, Dobby never knew. Harry, who was feeling distinctly hot in the face, said, Whatever you've heard about my greatness is a load of rubbish. I'm not even top of my ear at Hogwarts. That's Hermione. She's... But he stopped quickly because thinking about Hermione was painful. Harry Potter is humble and modest, said Dobby reverently, his herb eyes aglow. Harry Potter speaks not of his triumph for he who must not be named. Voldemort, said Harry. Dobby clapped his hand over the bat ears and moaned. Speak not the name, sir. Speak not the name. Sorry, said Harry quickly. I knew lots of people don't like it. My friend Ron. He stopped again. Thinking about Ron was painful too. Dobby leaned toward Harry, his eyes wide as headlights. Dobby heard tell, he said earnestly, that Harry Potter met the Dark Lord for a second time just weeks ago, that Harry Potter escaped yet again. Harry nodded, and Dobby's eyes suddenly shone with tears. Sir, he gasped, dabbing his face with a corner of grubby pillowcase he was wearing. Harry Potter is a valiant and bold. He has braved so many dangers already, but Dobby has come to protect Harry Potter, to warn him, even if he does have to shut his ear in the open door later. Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts. There was a silence broken only by the chink of knives and forks from downstairs and the distant rumble of Uncle Vernon's voice. What? Harry stammered. But I've got to go back. Term starts on September 1st. It's all that kept me going. You don't know what it's here like. I don't belong here. I belong in your ward at Hogwarts. No, squeaked Dobby, shaking his head so hard his ear flopped. Harry Potter must stay where he is safe. But I've got to go back. Term starts on September 1st. It's all that keeping me going. You don't know what it's here like. I don't belong here. I belong in your world, at Hogwarts. No, 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 squeaked Dobby, shaking his head so hard his ears flapped. Harry Potter mustn't say where he is safe, must say where he is safe. He is too great, too good to lose. If Harry Potter goes back to Hogwarts, he will be in mortal danger. Why? Said Harry in surprise. There is a plot, Harry Potter. A plot to make most terrible things happen at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year, whispered Dobby, suddenly trembling at all. Dobby has known it for months, sir. Harry Potter must not put himself in peril. He is too important, sir. What's trembling? What is terrible things? Said Harry at once. Who is plotting them? Dobby made a fine choking noise and then banged his head frantically against the wall. "All right," cried Harry, grabbing the elf's arm to stop him. "You can't tell me. I understand. But why are you warning me?" A sudden unpleasant thought struck him. Hang on, this hasn't got anything to do with both. Sorry, with you know who has it? You could just shake or not. He aimed hastily at Dobby's head, tilting worrying close to the wall again. Slowly Dobby shook his head. Not the him who must not be named, sir. But Dobby's eyes were wide and seemed to be trying to give Harry a hint. Harry, however, was completely lost. He hasn't got a brother, has he? Dobby shook his head, his eyes wider than ever. Well then, I can't think who else would have a chance of making horrible things happen at Hogwarts, said Harry. I mean, there's Dumbledore, for one thing. You know who Dumbledore is, don't you? Dobby bowed his head. Albus Dumbledore is the great headmaster Hogwarts has ever had. Dobby knows it, sir. Dobby has heard Dumbledore's powerful rival, those of he who must not be named, at the height of his strength. But, sir, Dobby's voice dropped to an angry whisper. There are powers Dumbledore doesn't. Powers no decent wizards. And before Harry could stop him, Dobby bounded off the bed, seized Harry's desk lamp, and started beating himself around the head with ear-splitting yelps. A sudden silence fell downstairs. 2 seconds later, Harry heard thundering madly, heard Uncle Vernon coming onto the hall, calling, Dudley must have left his television on again. The little tyke! Quick! In the closet! hissed Harry, stuffing Dobby in, shutting the door and flinging himself onto the bed as the door handle turned. What the devil are you doing? Said Uncle Vernon through gritted teeth, his face horribly close to Harry's. You've just ruined the punch line of my Japanese golfer joke. One more sound and you will wish you'd never been born, boy. He stomped flat-footed from the room. Shaking, Harry led Dobby out of his closet. See what it's here like? He said. See why I have to go back to Hogwarts. It's the only place I've got where I think I've got friends.